God bless to the servants of Yah. I am Messiah ben Yisrael, the iconoclast. In this video, we're going to be covering the serpent, the devil, Satan, and Lucifer. There are a bunch of misconceptions that surround these different identities in the scriptures, in the Book of Remembrance, because our enemies have attacked the book and concocted the New Testament, which is filled with mythology and fantasy and lies and things that don't really exist. Israelites and the world in general has transposed the things from the New Testament into the Book of Remembrance. So we have Israelites thinking that there are invisible devils walking around, that there's a fallen angel that's tempting people and creating chaos and havoc across the world, that the name of the fallen angel is Lucifer, and that the serpent in the garden was Satan, the devil, Lucifer. There are Israelites that think that all four of those identities are one spiritual being that was cast out of heaven to the earth and has been making war and trouble for people since then. That is a lie. Nothing could be further from the truth. There are no angels that fall. There are no angels that rebel. All angels have the understanding that Yah is the Most High and that they have to obey and they have to serve Him. You will not find one fallen angel in the Book of Remembrance. The only place that you'll come across a fallen angel is in the New Testament. The only place that you'll come across demonic possession, invisible spirits jumping into people's body, is in the New Testament. There were no bodily possessions in the Book of Remembrance because malevolent invisible spirits that are in rebellion against the Creator do not exist. The only spirits in rebellion against the Creator are humans, mankind, Israelites, and the people on the face of the earth. There is no angel that was cast out of heaven. There are no malevolent spirits jumping into people's bodies and causing them to cut themselves. These things are fallacies. They're inventions by the Edomites, by Esau, to take people's minds away from the truth and away from the Creator. We're going to analyze this, though, and we're going to prove it with the scriptures. So let's get started. Let's talk about the serpent first. Genesis chapter 3, verse 1. It says, "Now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field which Yah the strong one had made. And he said unto the woman, Yes, hath the Almighty said, Ye shall not eat of every tree of the garden?" Now, there are various schools of thought surrounding the identity of this serpent. Some people think that it's literally a snake, a talking snake with legs. Some people say that it's this invisible, fictitious devil, Satan, that took on the form of a snake. Those both are untrue. They are both fallacies. They are both inaccuracies. I'm sure that you know, and I know, plenty of two-legged snakes, human beings, serpents, men. That's who this serpent is. It's not a fallen angel. It mentions nothing of an angel. Genesis 3 verse 2, and the woman said unto the serpent, we may eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden. Now imagine a woman sitting there talking to a snake. It's nonsensical. Verse 3, but of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, the strong one has said, ye shall not eat of it, neither shall ye touch it, lest ye die. The fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, that is the tree that's in the midst of your body, your heart. You're not supposed to eat from that tree your own desires. You're supposed to eat from the tree of life, which is Yah of hosts. Verse 4, and the serpent said unto the woman, you shall not surely die. For Yah doth know that in the day ye eat thereof, then your eyes shall be opened, and ye shall be as, says God, knowing good and evil. And when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, and that it was pleasant to the eyes, and a tree to be desired to make one wise, she took of the fruit thereof, and did eat, and gave also unto her husband with her, and he did eat. Now, what is this talking about? This is talking about the sin of adultery. The woman and the serpent, who is a man, slept with one another. There's nothing new under the sun. She committed adultery with the serpent. And then she went and slept with her husband. That's what's being described here. Not a magical talking snake or a fallen angel in the form of a snake tempting a woman. That's not what's being described here. And if there's any confusion as to that, all you have to do is go down a few verses to verse 15, where it says, and I will put enmity between thee and the woman, and between thy seed and her seed. It shall bruise thy head, and thou shalt bruise his heel. That's talking about the two children that Eve was carrying, Cain and Abel. One belonged to Adam and one belonged to the serpent. And if you know the rest of the story, Cain killed Abel. Just like it said, I will put enmity between thee and the woman, and between thy seed, the serpent's seed, which was in Eve, and her seed, Adam's seed, which was in Eve. And it shall bruise thy head, and thou shalt bruise his heel. Two different seeds. So this was just an instance of adultery. That's why they were cut off from the tree of life. This is not talking about a mysterious angel. There's nothing about an angel here. That has to be interjected. That has to be transposed, juxtaposed from the New Testament, which is a book of lies and deception and the creation of the Edomites to cut the world off from the light, from the truth. I really hope that you can understand that. I really hope that the mind is not juvenile enough to contemplate and believe that there was two naked people in a garden talking to a snake, or that an angel was cast out of heaven and then turned himself into a snake in order to deceive a naked woman. That's foolishness, rubbish, nonsense. Now, as to the question of the devil, again, there is no invisible spirit tempting people. Mankind needs no help committing sin and unrighteousness. Mankind is fully capable of doing wickedness by themselves. So let's search the King James Book of Remembrance for the listings of the word devil and how many times it's listed. You can see here that it's only listed 4 times in the Book of Remembrance, 4 times. But in the New Testament, this book of lies, it's listed 102 times. Uh, First time it's listed in the Book of Remembrance, it's in Leviticus. Let's see what it says, and let's get it in context. It says, "And the priest shall sprinkle the blood upon the altar of Yah at the door of the tabernacle of the congregation, and burn the fat for a sweet savor unto Yah. And they shall no more offer their sacrifices unto devils." Who were the children of Israel sacrificing unto? They were sacrificing to idols. Ishtar, Chemosh, Baal, Seth, Osiris, whoever these strange idols were, that's who they were sacrificing to. So when it's talking about devils, it's not talking about a disembodied spirit. It's talking about an idol. That's all it means. An idol. Let's see the other listings. Deuteronomy chapter 32. Let's see it in context. "They provoked him to jealousy with strange gods," strange idols. "With abominations provoked they him to anger. They sacrificed unto devils," strange gods, abominations. They sacrificed unto devils, not to the Almighty, to idols, whom they knew not, to new gods, new idols. That's where you get that New Testament from. It's a new idol that came newly up, whom your fathers feared not. Abraham, Isaac, Jacob did not fear some Baal, Jesus Christ, or some YHWH or Yeshua or whatever name that they've foisted onto the main idol of the New Testament. They didn't fear him. They didn't even know him. He didn't exist. That's why it's a new idol. "Of the rock that begat thee, thou art unmindful, and hast forgotten the Almighty that formed thee." Why? Because our ancestors were busy fondling with themselves and fooling with themselves in the religions of the nations around them. Isn't that why we're scattered to the four corners of the earth? Were we scattered because we obeyed Yah's laws and we were not in idolatry? Is that why we were scattered? Or were we scattered because we would not heed the law and our ancestors sacrificed to devils under every green tree and in the high places? And Solomon built temples to these devils. That's why we're scattered. Not because we did the right thing, but because we did the wrong thing. And we're still, not me, not the servants of Yah, but the majority of people in the world and the majority of Israelites today are still, up until this day, sacrificing to devils. Jesus Christ, YHWH, Yeshua, devil. Allah, Buddha, Krishna, whoever, devil. They're not disembodied spirits. They're false gods, false deities. They're false strong ones. They're not the Almighty. They are devils. They have no breath. They can't move. They can't hear. They can't see. They're dead. Just like the people worshiping them. Eyes open, can't see. Ears open, can't hear. Heart made fat, and can't understand. Just like the idols. Just like the devils. What else we got? 2 Chronicles chapter 11, verse 14 and 16. "For the Levites left their suburbs and their possession, and came to Yehuda and Jerusalem, for Jeroboam and his sons had cast them off from executing the priest's office unto Yah. And he ordained him priests for the high places and for the devils, and for the calves which he had made." For the devils, for the idols that he had made, including the calves that he had made. "And after them, out of all the tribes of Israel, such as set their hearts to seek Yah, the strong one of Israel, came to Jerusalem to sacrifice unto Yah, the strong one of their fathers." So again, for the third time, that the word devil is mentioned in the Book of Remembrance and cited, it only means an idol. It does not mean a disembodied spirit jumping into people's bodies, taking over their bodies, and doing all sorts of fantastical, mythological, supernatural, really foolish, nonsensical things. This is the product of a vivid, overactive imagination. It's the product of being blinded by lies and deception. And it's the product of wantonness. Invisible, malevolent, malicious, fallen spirits do not exist. Okay? It's a very simple concept. They do not exist. You have never seen one. You have never heard one. You have never touched one. You've never sensed one. You know what that means? That they don't exist. All the evidence points to the fact that they do not exist. And lastly, the fourth reference, the last reference in the Book of Remembrance, because devils are only mentioned 4 times. The fourth reference, let's see if it's a disembodied, malevolent, malicious spirit. Psalms 106, verse 36. And they served their idols. There we go again. Idols, which were a snare unto them. Yes, they sacrificed their sons and daughters unto devils. Idols, devils. It's the same thing. They're one and the same. An idol is a devil. A devil is an idol. They're inseparable. They just mean the same thing. It's a synonym. But people's minds are so deluded that these simple concepts are lost. These simple concepts cannot be grasped. Why? Because people are in idolatry. When you're in idolatry, Yah will not allow you to understand because you give credit to your idol. And Yah says, I will not give my praise to graven images. He says he won't give his glory to another, but Israelites and Christians and Muslims and whatever religion people are part of, they want to give their devils, their idols, their graven images credit. Talking about that idol in the New Testament made the whole world and made everything. What kind of garbage is that? Talking about he's with Yah some way. More garbage, rubbish, trash, and lies. So now we know the serpent was a man. So it's not a fallen angel. Now we know that devils are not disembodied, malevolent, malicious spirits, but idols. So let's address Satan now. Because people think that when they see Satan in the Book of Remembrance, that again, this is some type of fallen spirit, some type of invisible, malevolent spirit that fell out of heaven. And that is not the truth. There are no fallen spirits. There's only fallen man. So let's look at this. Okay, when we search for Satan or Satan in the Book of Remembrance, Old Testament, we can see that it occurs 15 times, most prominently in the book of Job. But let's get over to 1 Chronicles and get that in context and see if we can identify this Satan. 1 Chronicles 21, verse 1 to 3. And Satan stood up against Israel and provoked David to number Israel. And David said to Joab and to the rulers of the people, go number Israel from Beersheba even to Dan, and bring the number of them to me, that I may know it. So when people see this, Satan stood up against Israel, because of the way that the Edomites wrote it, they think that this is a spirit with its own identity, its own personality, its own existence. That's not what it's talking about. This Satan And all the Satans that we're going to encounter in the Book of Remembrance is a manifestation of the adversarial spirit within man. The adversarial being and nature of man that causes man to go against the laws and to go against the Almighty. So David, for whatever reason, was stirred up to number Israel. But he wasn't tempted by a disembodied spirit. It was out of the desires in his own heart. It was out of his own adversarial spirit that he did it. Not because there was some invisible spirit whispering in his ears and telling him to do that. That's not it. Again, there are no invisible, malevolent, malicious, fallen spirits. That's a fact. Let's see when we go over to Job. Job 1, verse 5. And it was so, when the days of their feasting were gone about, that Job sent and sanctified them, and rose up early in the morning, and offered burnt offerings according to the number of them all. For Job said, it may be that my sons have sinned and cursed Yah in their hearts. Thus did Job continually. And he can't do that. You can't offer up no sacrifices for anybody. Only the priest can do that when they offer up sacrifices for the nation of Israel. Verse 6, now there was a day when the sons of the strong one came to present themselves before Yah, and Satan came also among them. Now, who's the sons of the strong one? Those are the righteous men carrying the law of Yah. This is not talking about angels. What do angels have to do with presenting themselves before the strong one? This is talking about men that carry the law of Yah. They're considered to be the sons of Yah. And they came to present themselves before Yah. And Satan came also among them. That means Job was there, and Job's pride, that adversarial part of him, was also present. That's all the satanic spirit is, the adversarial part of a human being that causes them to go against their creator. When they choose to follow their own desires, that's when the satanic spirit is present. It's not a separate spirit different from the person. It says, verse 7, and Yah said unto Satan, whence comest thou? Then Satan answered Yah and said, from going to and fro in the earth, and from walking up and down in it. Again, this is Job's pride. This is Job's satanic pride. How do we know that? Because when Job was afflicted, when all of those things took place, his family dying, the loss of his children, and loss of cattle, and loss of material things, and the sickness in his body, Job said, Yah did this to me. He didn't say Satan did this to me. He said, Yah did this to me. Why? Because of his pride, his satanic spirit. Not because there's a disembodied spirit that could go and convince Yah to afflict one of his servants, like he's Yah's advisor and he's tempting Yah. It's foolishness. Rubbish. Now you can read the rest of them, but for the third time, the serpent was a man, the devils are idols, and the satanic or Satan is the adversarial spirit within inside of human beings, within inside of man. Finally, people in their confusion call all of these things, the devil, the serpent, Satan, they say it's Lucifer. Okay, well, let's see if that's true, because it's not. Let's see how many times Lucifer is mentioned in the scriptures. One time. Now, one time is mentioned, and people have taken the one mention and made Tons of doctrines out of it. Millions of doctrines out of it. One mention, and people have run amok. You see the sheer lunacy? Children. Overgrown, aged children with vivid, overactive imaginations will take one mentioning of Lucifer and paint the rest of the scriptures with that one name. Fools. Let's take a look at the one reference in Yeshaya. Yeshaya chapter 14. Thy pomp is brought down to the grave, and the noise of thy vials. The worm is spread under thee, and the worms cover thee. How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nations? How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer? This is not talking about an angel falling out of heaven. Goodness gracious. Everything doesn't have to be taken literally. And then what should be taken literally, people take to be allegorical and metaphorical. And what should be taken allegorical, they take literally, backwards, upside down, inside out. This is talking about a human being fallen from a position of rulership. A person with knowledge, wisdom, fallen from a position of rulership. What rules? Is it the heaven or earth that rules? It's heaven. So this is talking about a person, an enlightened person, fallen. I mean, the context should even tell that this is talking about a human being, a man. Thy pomp is brought down to the grave. Who goes down to the grave? Is it not men? And the noise of thy vials. What vials? Songs. The worm is spread under thee, and the worms cover thee. Does this sound like it's talking about a fallen angel covered in worms? Isn't it human beings that are covered in worms when they die? How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, which did weaken the nations? For thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven. Now, how is a fallen angel who was in heaven and can ascend and descend, saying in his heart he's going to ascend into heaven and exalt his throne above the stars of the strong one, right? The princes of Israel. I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north, Jerusalem, the capital of the world. This is talking about a man. But let's put the nail in the coffin. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High. This is what Lucifer's saying. Yet thou shalt be brought down to hell, to the sides of the pit. They that see thee shall narrowly look upon thee and consider thee, saying what? Is this the man? That puts an end to Lucifer being a fallen angel. Because when people see Lucifer, they're going to say, is this the man that made the earth to tremble, that did shake kingdoms? Is this the man? They're not saying, is this the angel? That's not what they're saying. Why? Because it's not an angel. Lucifer, the Illuminati Edomite, Esau. That's who this is talking about. That's who Lucifer is. It's a human being that has enlightenment, but is keeping the enlightenment and the light away from the world and hiding truth. That's who wrote the New Testament, the illuminated Edomite, Esau. That's who wrote the New Testament that everyone's caught up in and for some strange reason can't let go of, and so they can't illuminate and they can't understand because they got idols in their heart. Now, just one more verse before we close this out. Yeshaya 27 verse 1. In that day, Yah with his sore and great and strong sword shall punish Leviathan, the piercing serpent, even Leviathan, that crooked serpent, and he shall slay the dragon that is in the sea. The piercing serpent, again, it's a man. Leviathan means the largest of its kind. This is talking about the bankers, the international bankers, the Leviathans, the piercing serpents, the crooked ones. And he shall slay the dragon that's in the sea. What sea? The sea of people. It's not talking about a snake or a reptile. It's talking about a human being with the characteristics of a snake or a reptile. Hopefully, this clears up some of the misconceptions, but I doubt it. People are going to do whatever they want to do. They're going to believe whatever they want to believe with no understanding, just walking around bumping their heads into the wall. But Yah's movement is here. His way is here. The light is here. Illumination is here. And people will come to the knowledge of Yah and to the truth. They will have to if they want to stay on the earth. There is no other way. Seek Yah. Seek his arm, Yah our righteousness. Read, study, pray, and do. Get out of the New Testament. Leave idolatry alone. There is only one, Yah of hosts. There are no strange idols or strange gods with him. He doesn't have any partners. He doesn't have a wife. He doesn't have an only begotten son. He does not accept human sacrifice. He is righteous. He's without blemish. He is spotless. He's perfect. He's the Almighty. This has been Asaya ben Yisrael, the Iconoclast. Peace. Yah bless.